Alright, welcome to Group 4 project on assessments and intervention. Our group members consist of myself, Parvati Nova Ganesh, Ethnic Role, Brian Natta Miller, Seema Ramharak, and Devoni Telesford. Now we move on to introduction. A developmental delay refers to when a child has not achieved their developmental milestone at times they are expected to. It is a continuous minor or major delay in the development process. Delay can happen in one or numerous areas, for instance, language and speech, fine and gross motor, social and thinking abilities. A delay may show in a way when a child communicates, thinks, learns, moves, or how they behave when with other individuals. However, a developmental delay may be a short-term problem, or it can be signs of a long-term problem. As we move on, we go on to the explanation on the type of delay we have identified in a child. Now, Tommy is an active 4-year-old who loves to learn and play with his peers. However, on many occasions, the teachers in the setting have difficulty understanding what Tommy is saying. Even more, a group of practitioners observe that he does not follow instructions, and when answering questions, it is hard to understand what he is saying. As the group of practitioners observed Tommy daily, they noted that he has difficulties communicating and interacting with his peers. Based on research, Tommy may have problem understanding language, which he may have a receptive language delay, and using language, expressive language delay. Observation conclude that Tommy most likely have a language delay. Now we move further. What is a language delay? A language delay can be characterized as a type of communication disorder. It is typically occurs when the individual child's language develops at a slower rate than other children within the same age group. They may have trouble understanding others or expressing themselves. This type of developmental delay may also involve a combination of cognitive hearing and speech impairments. However, if a child has been identified with a language delay, it is possible that at a typical age they would not reach their language milestones. Now I pass you over to my colleague, Ethnic Rule.
Thank you, Parvati. I will now discuss with you the samples of assessment tools that aid in the discovery of Tommy's language delay. The Flo-Harty Preschool Language and Speech Screening Test. This test is administered to children between the ages of 3 to 5. This was one of the screening tools used to identify Tommy's language delay. This test was able to provide 5 subtests within the language domain. This test allowed practitioners to test his articulation skills, repeating sentences, responding to directives, and answering questions, and describing actions and sequences of events. In addition, it was also able to provide the rapid identification of Tommy's speech and language delay by prompting pair group play, reading, and conversation tasks. Information based on recordings conducted on his phonological errors, voice quality, and Tommy's fluency, along with a teacher questionnaire, also contributed to a delay being identified. The Bailey Scale of Infant and Toddler Development, 4th edition. This assessment tool was also used to test Tommy's language development. This test was administered upon Tommy's entering preschool, and this test will be repeatedly administered throughout the term to assess his improvement. This test is considered to be the most comprehensive test tool for determining developmental delay in children. It encompasses 5 developmental domains, such as the assessment of cognitive, language, social emotional, adaptive behavior, and motor domains. Tommy was given a number of tasks to determine if the level of his thinking, language, and motor skills is similar to the level of skills most children his age. Some activities he was asked to perform were very hard, and on the other hand, some were very easy, assessing how well Tommy recognized words and how much he understands spoken words and direction. As it relates to his expressive communication, he was observed using words, asking questions, and answering more complex questions in an effort to identify a delay. The MacArthur Communicative Inventory Test. This assessment test was administered to Tommy's parents in order to capture important information about his developing abilities in early language, including his vocabulary, comprehension, production, gestures, and his grammar, along with the ages and stages questionnaire. This questionnaire was also designed for the purpose of determining the development of the child and can be conducted by caregivers or parents of a particular child. The reasons for using assessment tools as it relates to Tommy was to determine if Tommy is on track developmentally or if further, more comprehensive assessments are needed. To help measure his overall cognitive ability and to assess his language or learning abilities. To evaluate Tommy's speech, expressive language, and his ability to understand speech and gestures, receptive language. To provide him with interventions in order to increase his chance of improvement. I will now hand you over to my colleague, Brianetta.
Ms. Rowe, thank you for that. And I agree that those are very important reasons to use assessment tools in the early childhood classroom. However, we must also consider the when and where as we prepare to use these assessment tools. When considering the time frame in reference to how long these tools should be used and in what situations, we must first consider the child and then the extent of their developmental needs. Next, we must remember that there are two categories of assessments, namely informal assessments and formal assessments. The informal assessment tools, such as anecdotal records, videos, and checklists, are carried out by us, the educators, and must be an ongoing process conducted in various learning situations and during at least 3 windows of opportunities. These 3 windows of opportunities are 1. Spontaneous observations, where we observe Tommy randomly throughout the day as he interacts naturally with his environment and peers. 2. Targeted observations. This is where we planned to observe a specified skill or behavior during a specified activity or lesson. And finally, 3. Prompted observations. This is where we create opportunities for Tommy to display his skills and behaviors outside the daily curriculum and routine. Hence, assessment tools must be a part of an ongoing effort to help us understand Tommy as an individual, inform our instruction, and gauge and track Tommy's language and learning development. Formal assessments or diagnostic tests are conducted when children are referred to a specialist when the informal assessments identify developmental concerns, such as the case with Tommy's language delay. Formal assessments should be administered immediately after a concern is raised and again near the end of a learning regimen or development plan to determine if his developmental goals or targets have been met. These assessments will be administered during Tommy's natural play patterns as well as prompted periods. However, the specialist can administer assessments as often as they feel is necessary. Therefore, professionals such as ourselves, educators, and speech-language pathologists who support language development in children needs both formal and informal assessments to gain information on a child's understanding in order to identify and support the receptive and expressive language learning needs of diverse children during their early learning experiences. McIntyre, Hellenstein, Badonde, Bowden, and Doy, 2017. Mistress Ramak, can you please explain the strategies needed to support the development of Tommy's language delay?
Thank you, Bernetta. Now let's look at some strategies we can use to help Tommy in his language delay. Communication. We need to constantly keep communicating with Tommy so that Tommy can hear pronunciation, phonemics, and he can also hear how to make sentences, right? We can also use everyday situations to help Tommy to develop language. Like during class time, we can keep talking to Tommy, ask Tommy what he's doing, what he's having for lunch, where is he going, what is his favorite color, what is his favorite food, and we can constantly have Tommy engage in conversation. Another thing that we can do is use sign language. And a lot of you might be thinking, why are we using sign language? Because we don't want Tommy to constantly keep using sign language. But we are just using sign language to help Tommy to learn how to communicate. And eventually, when Tommy can communicate on his own, he will use his speech as a form of helping Tommy to learn new words and to develop his language. Children are at their most comfortable zone during play. Through play, children will be able to express themselves, they'll be able to show empathy, and in this case, Tommy will start communicating with his friends, right? Because he will be in different situations where he will be prompted to talk. We can also use speech therapy if it is that we need to call in the professionals, right? And speech therapy will be like private sessions and one-on-one sessions with children to have different strategies and techniques to help these children to learn to speak. Another way that we can help Tommy is by having a control setting. And when we say control setting, we mean that we rig the environment to have Tommy speaking. We provide situations in this setting to have Tommy ask questions, cognitive thinking, so that he will constantly be thinking what's going on and he will have no choice but to talk, so we hope. So by using all these different strategies, both parents and teachers can help Tommy in his language developmental delay. And I now pass you over to my friend Devani. That's it.
Hey guys, my name is Devani Telesford, and today I will be explaining the challenges that Tommy may face if the delay is not addressed. According to the National Academy of Sciences 2016, they said that speech and language difficulties cannot disrupt children's communication development. It can have a wide range of effects and impacts on the ability not only to communicate, but also to acquire new knowledge and participate fully in society. Most children develop their speech and language by a seemingly automatic progress that begins at birth and continues through adolescence. Speech and language skills will allow Tommy to engage in and exchange acquisitions of knowledge in his community and educational arena. In the event that Tommy may have challenges in his language and speech development, then it should be addressed as soon as possible. And if these challenges that Tommy may face is not addressed, then he may be at a disadvantage of the following. He may have fewer friends and participate less in social activities. He may have difficulties communicating with peers or educators. It may affect his academic performances and work outcomes. He may have long-term difficulties in reading and writing. He may have difficulties in expressing himself, and he can become a slow speaker in terms of putting words together. To conclude, speech and language difficulties can disrupt Tommy communication development. It can have a wide range of effects and impacts on his ability not only to communicate, but also to acquire new knowledge and participate fully in society. Moreover, language and speech is fundamental to Tommy's learning as it is the means in which information is passed to gain knowledge. In order to remedy these issues of language and speech, one must be able to identify early developmental delays in Tommy by observing or using diagnostic tests. When this happens, the correct tools will be chosen to assist in his development. Furthermore, strategies must be placed to curb permanently long-term outcomes. Thank you.